might ask a question.
Ask the question.
You
You don't
know the answer.
know
to.
the answer to.
If you don't,
If you
know
don't
the
know the
answer,
answer,
just guess.
just guess.
say
Say
any answer.
any answer.
But you must,
answer
every question.
every question.
Use your
Use
pause
the
button
pause
if necessary.
if necessary.
Okay, let's
Okay?
begin.
Let's begin.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
Here we go.
I arrived in Guatemala on
Oh.
the Day of the Dead,
Ah.
November 1st. Did I arrive in Guatemala?
Yes, I arrived
Yes.
in Guatemala
I arrived
on the day to that
in Guatemala.
November 1st.
Where did I arrive?
Guatemala. I arrived in Guatemala on the day to
I
that
arrived in Guatemala. I arrived in Guatemala on the day of the
dead,
dead, November
November
1st.
1st.
Who arrived in Guatemala?
I arrived.
Dead?
I arrived Guatemala on the day to that
Well,
November
maybe
1st.
DJ, right? I arrived in Guatemala on the Day of the Dead, November 1st.
First.
Did I arrive in Guatemala on November 3rd?
No, I arrived in Guatemala
I didn't arrive in Guatemala
on November
on
1st.
November 3rd. I arrived in
Guatemala
Guatemala
on November 1st.
November 1st.
Yes,
What day did I arrive in
November
Guatemala?
1st.
November 1st. I arrived in Guatemala on November 1st. Where did I arrive on November 1st?
Guatemala. Yes, it's easy.
Well,
I arrived
right?
in
I arrived
Guatemala on the day of that
on
November 1st.
1st. I arrived in Guatemala on the Day of the Dead,
November 1st.
1st.
I'm curious about this holiday.
I was curious about this holiday, so I went to the cemetery to see what was happening. Was I angry about this holiday?
No.
No,
I was curious.
about this holiday.
I was
sad about this holiday?
No, I wasn't sad
No,
on
I
this
wasn't
holiday.
sad about this holiday.
I was curious in this holiday.
About this
Holiday.
holiday. Who was curious about this holiday?
I was